a celebration a mile high. They are headed Super Bowl 60.
Trust this team, man. I'm going to the Super Bowl. That sounds pretty good.
The Seahawks are going back to the Super Bowl.
What our team's been able to do up to this point and how they've done it, we're just blessed.
Throwing made, touchdown, Seahawks, no way!
Absolutely drilled.
Red White, shot downfield, caught for the touchdown.
And just like that, the Super Bowl matchup is set. The Seahawks and Patriots coming your way in just 13 days from Santa Clara, California. We'll show you how both teams earn their spots. But first, Dan, give us one reason to be excited for Super Bowl 60.
I want to see if Mike Vrabel can finish the turnaround. This is a guy that, as a player in New England, was one of those unbelievable, versatile pieces, offensively, defensively. Goes to Tennessee, they fire him. And now, in his first year in New England, turns them around and has them in the Super Bowl. Can he win it and finish this unbelievable turnaround in New England?
For me, it's Jackson Smith-Njigba and his usage. This is one of those wide receivers that can walk away with Super Bowl MVP. Clint Kubiak moved him all around, but it was JSN in the slot at number 1 in the backfield, totally taking advantage of this Rams defense.
Sam Darnold, congratulations on winning the NFC Championship. Now going to the Super Bowl, will you still be as aggressive? Clint Kubiak was amazing, but Sam Darnold pushing the ball down the field, avoiding the turnovers, making big plays with his legs, his arms. This is the quarterback that wins a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. Can you continue it one more time against the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I want to see if those Seattle Seahawks, here we go, already, there it is. So that play, the Malcolm Butler interception, I have watched approximately 1 million times since that Super Bowl, and I'm going to see it a million more times this week. So Seattle, here is your chance to finally exercise those demons. Sam as well, ghosts perhaps is a better way to put it than demons, given the opponent who tortured him in New York. But yeah, this is a chance for Seattle. Don't let that Malcolm Butler interception hang over this game. End it once and for all.
Hey, Mina, congrats on the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl, girlfriend. Love it.
Okay.
It's going to be fun. Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark, Dan Orlovsky, Marcus Spears. We're with you for 2 hours on this Monday, recapping championship weekend, as we told you, plus looking ahead. And Adam Schefter joins us with the news of the day. But let's show you how Seattle got to this point. Matthew Stafford and the Rams visiting Sam Darnold in the NFC Championship. 45 seconds left in the half. Darnold looking deep, and he's got JSN. What a target for him in this game. 42 yards on the bomb. Couple plays later, Darnold once again, Dan, to JSN.
Yeah, this is the same play that they beat him on in Week 16, but they reverse the roles of JSN and Cooper Kupp. It's a huge touchdown to end the half.
Early third quarter, the Seahawks up 17-13, punting it away on 4th down. Xavier Smith back on the return. And RC, what happened here?
Listen, we've seen this throughout this season. Special teams bites the Los Angeles Rams on the butt again. This was a huge play that just got in a 3-and-out, and this leads to a touchdown.
Seahawks take over in the very next play. Darnold able to capitalize, firing it over the middle to Jake Bobo. He hauls it in for the touchdown. Seahawks taking the 24-13 lead. So how would the Rams respond? Well, surely Matthew Stafford's ready for this moment, and he is. He connects with Devontae Adams down the sideline, tackled at the 2. So the Rams knocking on the door the very next play. Dan, Stafford gets it done.
Yeah, this is like an RPO. Devontae man-to-man sets him, breaks on the out route, and the Rams offense get right back in this football game.
Yeah, the Rams now only trailing by 4. Ensuing drive for the Seahawks, 3rd and 3 from the Rams 13, and Darnold able to find Cooper Kupp, pushes his way into the end zone for the touchdown. You know that felt good for Kupp. Seahawks extending their lead. Rams looking to respond, facing a 3rd and 12, and Stafford looking for Nakua, but Reek Woolen continues to be, RC, just a freak of nature.
Yeah, he's a freak of nature, but he did too much after the play, talking trash to the sideline of the Los Angeles Rams. Instead of 4th and 12, it's 1st and 10.
So 1st and 10 for the Rams on the Seattle 34, and Stafford taking the deep shot to Nakua, but this Seattle defense covered those wide receivers so incredibly well. Nakua, either way, able to come down for the touchdown. McVay fired up, costly penalty by Woolen. leads to a touchdown for the Rams. The Rams trail 31-27 into the fourth quarter. Same score. Rams going for it, 4th and 1. Stafford able to scramble up the middle for a first down. He just wanted it more in that moment, keeping that Rams drive alive. Later in the drive, felt like to me the Rams surely are going to score for it here. Stafford trying to connect with Terrence Ferguson, but the pass is broken up. So they turn it over on downs, unfortunately, for the Rams. And then ensuing drive for the Seahawks. Darnold passing it to Kupp, who gets right to the first down marker, stretches ahead. The ball comes out, but Kupp ruled down. Close call there, Dan.
Yeah, it's very close. It looks like either way he's going to get it. Sean McVay, timeout, can't challenge it. It's unfortunate. The Rams have one final play. They have to get a chunk and get out of bounds. They're unable to do it.
Yeah, the clock hitting 0 there. What an ending. Witherspoon, an amazing tackle of Nakua inbounds as time expires. The Seahawks win. They advance to their first Super Bowl since 2014. Here's Mike McDonald.
You know, you can't talk about the game without talking about our quarterback. I mean, he just shut a lot of people up tonight, so I'm really happy for him. Everyone wants to make a narrative about this guy, but it's like he's been the same guy since he walked in the door. So you don't want me writing the stories because I would not write the narratives that are out there. I'd be really boring. I'd be like, this guy's the man. And his teammates love him, and he's competitive as crap, and he's tough. He's really talented, and he's a winner. That would be the story. So don't let me write the story.
Like that, competitive as crap. Sam Darnold will be the 5th quarterback since 1980 to make the Super Bowl in his first season with a team. Previous to Darnold, the last quarterback to do it was his opposing quarterback on Sunday, Matthew Stafford. Stafford, remember, won his Super Bowl as those previous 4 quarterbacks combined go 3-1. RC, how did Darnold and that offense get it done yesterday? Because so much of the conversation's been around the defense, but the offense really stepped up.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And I felt like Clint Kubiak treated Sam Darnold like a great three-point shooter. He got some layups early with Kenneth Walker III being the recipient of some screens, some easy pass, some run pass options, and then they started to shoot the deep ball. You think about the aggression that we saw late in the second quarter on the corner post to JSN. Then you hit JSN out of the backfield. Right after you get the turnover, you hit Bobo. And then late in that game, putting the football into Sam Darnold's hand, if you're Clint Kubiak, backed up on 2nd and 6 on your 10-yard line, on 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 8 on the pass we saw to Cooper Kupp. This team believed in Sam Darnold all along, and I feel like they've been building momentum to this point from the 4th quarter of the Week 16 game against the Rams, and everything flowed perfectly yesterday.
I think that's where I'm going, RC. This was carryover from the ending of that game and the confidence that Sam Darnold played with. Look, we talked about it all week. We thought this run game, which has its successful moments, obviously, was going to be the catalyst and the calling card. And they were like, no. This will be Sam Darnold's game. And we saw him execute to the highest level. Let's not forget, y'all, Sam Darnold against this team had 6 total turnovers during the regular season. And Clint Kubiak, to your point, RC, was like, look, man, you got to go out. You got to push the ball down the field. You got to find the matchups that work. And the thing that was beautiful about it is he spread the football around. Obviously, JSN had a huge night. But going to Cooper Kupp in some critical situations, knowing that Cooper has been in those moments before, you see him throw the ball to Mike Bobo in the end zone, matched up as one-on-one.
Jake Bobo.
This was a coming out party to me for Sam Darnold about how they went about getting him to be the guy in the game. And look, I know sometimes the game plan calls for it, and you can go out and take advantage of mismatches. And we've talked about this secondary with the Rams, but they trusted Sam Darnold this game, and they did not let the first 2 deter them.
Hell of a time for Sam Darnold to have his best game of the season, right? Given the opponent and the stage. And really what the Seahawks offense had done the second half of the season, which was struggle. I also thought it was Clint Kubiak's best game of the season. We've hit on some of it. The way he got JSN open using motion and alignment, but also the way he used JSN as the queen on the chessboard to create opportunities for other. You talk about the Jake Bobo, the post touchdown. He gets a one-on-one because the safety shades towards JSN. They made some, I thought, really clever adjustments. Seahawks used trips formations at the lowest rate in the NFL this season. Cranked it up this year, in this game to a top 10 rate, recognizing that they could flood the Rams' zone coverage to one side, continuously getting guys open that way. And then I want to highlight this final drive, guys, the drive at the 4.5-minute mark. How many times in those moments have we seen defensive head coaches shrivel up and say, cool, run the ball. We don't want to put it in harm's way. Yeah. They called 2 play action passes on second down that they converted. So credit to Kubiak, but also to Mike McDonald for having the courage in that moment, because that's what allowed them to win the game and keep Matthew Stafford off the field.
Yeah, if you had told the world in 2021 that the coach is going to be aggressive with Sam Darnold at the end of the NFC title game against Matthew Stafford to go to the Super Bowl, everyone would be like, you're out of your mind. Yeah. Yeah, I think Clint Kubiak ran circles around Chris Shula from a scheme perspective. The amount of motion that they used to chase matchups was great. Okay, you go in before the halftime, okay, you motion over. Now you get the corner outside on Kupp. That leaves the nickel on JSN. This is that corner post. He gets a free release. Look at the sell on the route. Gets the safety over the top, and it's the huge chunk. It's really the same throw that Carolina hit him, but it's because of the motion to hunt that matchup that Clint Kubiak found. There's JSN getting him into the backfield. This is just the sail concept out of the backfield. Shaheed is going to lift the coverage. Cooper Kupp holds the underneath coverage, and now JSN is running his route basically on that inside backer, but essentially nobody. That is absolutely enormous by Clint Kubiak and the motion that he chases to go after it. And then later in the game, there's one-on-one. JSN in that reduced split. Here comes Shaheed in motion. What happens? They kick the coverage. Now the corner is going to cover Shaheed. You get the matchup on the nickel. The route running of JSN sells the over, snaps back on the out. This is one of those late, huge completions. When they used motion and threw the ball yesterday, Sam Darnold averaged almost 14 yards per attempt. That's an outrageous number. Clint Kubiak knew who he wanted to go after in the Rams defense, and the way that he used the motion to get it done was flawless.
You guys, we love...
You know what this... Yeah, y'all, Jake
go
Bobo.
Ahead. Go ahead, RC.
Yeah. You know what this felt like, Laura? When I used to play Jordan when he was younger, I would look at his stick when he was playing, we were playing Madden, and I would watch what defense he picked. And I would know exactly where to throw the ball against the defense. Clint Kubiak was painting a picture for Sam Darnold and giving him the answers to the test before the snap, and he executed every single time and got the ball exactly where it was intended to go against each defense.
Yeah, Marcus, really fast, chance to correct the record. You did not mean the Georgia offensive coordinator was catching a pass. That would be incredible.
Think about Coach Bobo.
Listen,
hey, that's that SEC there right there, boy.
A lot of information.
Hey, there's just not that many Bobos out there, so it's hard to keep them all straight. I appreciate. That's what we do on this show. We go ahead and make sure that our mistakes, our mistakes are corrected. You're the best. Jake, don't call me Mike Bobo. Look at that. Look at that. Jake, don't call me Mike. Let's get to some top stories now as Adam Schefter jumps in. A lot to get to. Shefty, let's start with the losing quarterback from Sunday's NFC Championship game, Matthew Stafford. What do we know about the future of the quarterback who's set to turn 38 years old next month?
Laura, there'll be questions about his future as there were after last season, but the fact of the matter is people around the league believe that Matthew Stafford was playing at such a high level. It would be a surprise if he didn't come back next season, but obviously he'll have to take some time, sift through his feelings, talk with his family, and come to a decision. But I think the prevailing opinion all along has been that he is likely to return for the 2026 season. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns spent the day in Los Angeles around Matthew Stafford's team interviewing the Rams passing game coordinator, Nate Scheelhaus. This came on a day where the Jaguars offensive coordinator, Grant Udinski, backed out of the Brown search, and they're now left with 2 primary names, Nate Scheelhaus and their defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. We'll see what the Browns ultimately decide to do and who they pick as the next head coach. The Buffalo Bills are trying to come to a decision about their next head coach. They just wrapped up an interview with the Broncos passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach Davis Webb, who now will go on to interview with the Raiders. They're also talking with Joe Brady, Brian Daboll, Grant Udinski, and others. It sounds like the Bills would like to hire an offensive-minded head coach to work with Josh Allen. Those seem to be the candidates right now, and we'll see ultimately where Buffalo winds up.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Adam rejoins throughout the next couple of hours. With us on NFL Live, let's recap the AFC champ.
Okay, listen to me. Listen to me. Sometimes you got to believe things before you can see them. Okay, you got to believe them before you can see them. And from the time that we started, you did everything that we asked you to do. Okay, we said everybody's journey to this league looks a little different. Just like everybody's journey to the Super Bowl looks a little different.
Just remarkable. Congratulations to New England and Mike Vrabel and that entire team. The Patriots have allowed just 26 points, fewer than 9 per game, during their 3 playoff games so far. That's the fewest allowed in a 3-game postseason span since the legendary 2000 Ravens defense, which allowed 20 in its final 3 playoff games on their way to a Lombardi trophy. That defense has been so good. Marcus, what stood out to you from the Pats defense on Sunday?
The creativity. I mean, the pressure that they were creating on Jarrett Stidham without necessarily bringing an extra guy when Denver had enough to block it. But the twist on the interior between backers and away running games with both the ends. You look here, you see Ellis come, he chips. The back has a decision to make for Denver. Do you take Milton? Yeah, but it forces this to be a bad throw by Jarrett Stidham behind him. Huge critical down. Again, they bring the same pressure. You bring the linebacker up, you wrap the defensive tackle, and it now forces Jarrett Stidham to feel like he doesn't have as much time as he does. So again, the protection was there. It was enough people, but they forced the back to be in a game change. And we used to try to do that all the time as interior pressure guys. This is Mike Vrabel at his best. They did a lot of this when he was playing with the New England Patriots, creating those things with Richard Seymour and all of those guys. And you saw it affect Jarrett Stidham in a major way. So beyond them bringing more than you can block, they still get creative, even with games that they run, to create an advantage at getting after the quarterback. They've been phenomenal up front.
And there was a question, right, coming into this one. Okay, the Patriots pass rush has looked so much better in the postseason, but they've gone up against the Chargers offensive line. And, of course, the Texans offensive line. This is a Broncos offensive line that's top 10, better than that, quite frankly, by anyone's estimation. A much more significant challenge. And sure, some of that pressure rate comes from quarterback holding on to the football. But to Marcus's point, a lot of it comes from just this Patriots defensive line winning. The defensive tackles in particular stood out to me. Milton Williams, you got what you paid for, man. The biggest free agent signing was excellent last week. Showed up again, 3 quick pressures, including the one where on the boot on 4th down, he forces the incompletion from Jarrett Stidham and Christian Barmore getting that sack. That wasn't against backups. That's against the interior of the Broncos offensive line. All-pro guard Quinn Miners. So when we move ahead to the Seahawks, we'll have a lot of time to go up against that game. It's those defensive tackles, Barmore, Williams, and Kyrus Tonga, who was excellent as well, that I'm watching as the strength of this Patriots unit.
Yeah, it's hard to run the football against a defense that fits the run flawlessly. I mean, that's what New England did, was they made Denver one-dimensional, and they could not run the ball. And when you watch it, you're like, oh, every single one of those guys on defense is fitting the run. Motion, this is the first snap of the game. Linebackers communicate, safety steps into his gap, but everyone has their gap, right? So the safety steps into his gap, then Spillane steps into his gap, and then there's Christian Gonzalez filling his gap as well. You go a little bit later in the game, watch the communication. Gibbons like, hey, you got to go down safety, you got to go down safety. Now watch the gap integrity. Fit it with the shoulder, fit it with the shoulder. Carlton Davis, you got a gap as well. Unbelievable. Just the way that they were consistently in the right places. Here it comes again. There's that D-line stunt. You got the A gap. I got the C gap. Where's the safety in the B gap? Yep, right there. And so when you watch that tape, you're sitting there going, man, how come Denver couldn't run the football? Because the way that New England fit when it comes to, like, I have to hit with my right shoulder, you got to hit with your left shoulder, somebody's got to fill that gap. It was on a consistent basis showing up, and once again, I'm disappointed because I didn't see this defense like this. I just did it in the regular season. I did not see this defense being as dominant as it is.
Dan, they were so hurt.
I know. Yeah, it's just they've been so impressive.
So it's fair.
Yeah. On behalf of the NFL Live crew, New England Patriots, I would like to apologize. We were not familiar with your game. Yeah, man. Because I'm going to tell you what, I thought they were good, and I knew Milton Williams was banged up, and Spillane was out. Christian Gonzalez wasn't healthy the whole season. but they have been historically dominant throughout this playoff run. And you want to talk about those teams? We're talking 2000 Ravens. We're talking 2002 Buccaneers. We're talking the LOB Seahawks. They're as good or better than all three of those defenses. There has been no defense in the playoff as tied in on all three levels as this one. And we talked about the Houston Texans and who they had at corner and the nickel position. No three people have played that well on the back end as Christian Gonzalez, as Carlton Davis, and as Marcus Jones have done in the last 3 weeks. And up front, they have been absolutely dominant. And on the second level, they run and they hit. And I'm talking about the safeties and the backers. Zach Kerr has had this team in one mindset. Try me deep. We don't respect you. We don't trust you. We don't think you can beat us. The safeties are aggressive. The corners are in lockdown coverage. And inside, they are winning at a fast and quick and dynamic rate.
I know we have a ton of time to talk about the Super Bowl matchup, but I cannot wait to see how they handle this Seahawks offense. A lot more coming your way here on NFL Live, and I'm glad you put out that apology, RC. All right, Marcus, who ate on Sunday? Hey.
Y'all know I usually go with a hit. Y'all know I usually go with somebody getting hit hard or making a big play. But did y'all see that Kenneth Walker dead leg in the backfield?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all, I know y'all saw it because we watch hours of tape. Let me get there. I need the first down. I need the first down. That's what Kenneth Walker said. This was worthy of bust that it up because it wasn't a big hit, but it put somebody on skates, and he hit him with the Euro. First down.
Yeah, for me, it's JSN. And to have 10 catches, over 150 yards, and a touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams, understanding that he was going to be the focal point of this pass offense. It was yards after the catch. It was creating the big play with route running, but it was also clutch plays when his team needed it most. He started the year on fire, and it seems he's finishing that way as well.
All right, I feel a little bad picking another Seahawks, but, you know, y'all watch the first game. You know what it is. Nick Emanwari, holy mackerel. I mean, he was magnificent in this game. 8 targets, just 2 catches for 5 yards, 3 passes defense. He is the key to what the Seahawks do, their ability to stay in lighter and sub packages against the Rams' heavy looks. He was amazing in this game as he's been all year.
Marcus Jones sends the Patriots to the Super Bowl. Everyone talks about the 4th down play. This is the play of the game for me. It's 3rd and 6, all-out pressure. Just pay attention to the guy who's ringed. He's a blitzer. Okay, he retraces, puts his hand on the ground to redirect himself. He's out-leveraged by Jarrett Stidham. It's 3rd and 6. This is effort. This is culture. This is toughness. You got to throw at the end to find a way to get your body on Stidham. That leads to the 4th and 1. That leads to the potential of going for it or not. Denver goes for it. They don't get it. You never know what play is going to win the game. Kudos to Marcus Jones, wins him the game.
People were busting it up all over the place. Great stuff, you guys. All right, let's talk about the new head coaches because 10 teams making coaches changes this offseason. Now 6 of those spots have been filled. Saturday afternoon, the Steelers announced an agreement with Pittsburgh native Mike McCarthy. McCarthy, of course, has 18 seasons of head coaching experience, 13 seasons with the Packers, 5 with the Cowboys. So Adam Schefter back in here with us. And Adam, what more can you tell us about this decision to bring Mike McCarthy in as the head man in Pittsburgh?
Laura, if we go back to when Art Rooney, the Steelers owner, held a press conference after Mike Tomlin stepped down, he talked about the fact that this team did not want to rebuild, did not want to have to reload or anything like that, particularly coming off a division title. And so they opted for somebody with experience, with Super Bowl on his resume, with somebody who's been known to develop quarterbacks. Now, he could be working with Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, the rookie quarterback. He could be working with Aaron Rodgers. They did not hire Mike McCarthy to lure back Aaron Rodgers, but the fact is the Steelers always have left the door open for Rodgers if he wants to return. I think they're hoping that the return of Mike McCarthy can help ease the return of Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that plays out, but they felt like they were getting something of a known commodity in Mike McCarthy, not to mention the fact that he understands the area, hailing from that area, growing up in Pittsburgh, working as a toll booth collector in overnight shifts, cleaning his father's bar before going to church. Pittsburgh runs through his blood deep, and the Steelers opted to pick him as their next head coach.
Swag, what do you think about that? Toll booth collector and the playing in his dad's
No,
bar.
I wanted to ask Shefty, because maybe my timeline off. Shefty, didn't this end bad with McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers?
I think it may not have ended perfect, Big Swaggo, but I think there always was a respect between the two men. And it's certainly something that I think Mike McCarthy would absolutely be open to working with Aaron Rodgers. The question is whether Rodgers wants to play.
Gotcha. That was it, Boogie.
Man, I thought you were like me trying to figure out. I didn't realize that he was a toll booth collector. You just never know how far life's going to take you. All right, McCarthy taking over a Steelers team that will have nearly $30 million in cap space, so that's good, but a big question mark on defense. Aaron Rodgers, who McCarthy we just talked about, very familiar with from their time in Green Bay. Of course, he's a free agent. He's 42 years old. Maybe it'll be Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, as Adam just mentioned. They also have the 21st pick in the upcoming NFL draft, but as we've kind of already talked about on the show, Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, those guys are not going to be there at 21. RC, what do you think about this move from your Steelers?
Well, you know what? I've talked to some people within the organization, and they're excited about Mike McCarthy. And I think they understood that people would be sort of uninspired by this hire, especially when you got Chuck Noll at 37, 35 and 35, or 34 and 34 for Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and they were able to grow with their teams for over a decade and a half. Now you move to Mike McCarthy. I think it's difficult when someone like Mike Tomlin steps away from the team. People talked about it feeling like the mourning at a funeral inside that building. You go to someone with guaranteed pedigree as a head coach, someone who has won a Super Bowl and had quarterbacks play well under his tutelage. They believe in who Mike McCarthy is. They love his connection to the city. For me, I'm in a wait and see sort of mode because I believe this is an unwillingness to rebuild, an unwillingness to retool. And by not doing that, you may be pushing off the inevitable, which is finally being a losing team in order to get back where you want to be, which is a Lombardi.
RC, you hit the nail on the head. I like Mike McCarthy. I thought he did a really good job in Dallas. I know a lot of people, I was in wait and see mode when he got hired in Dallas, but that was also a 12-win team year after year with them, and obviously they had their woes in the playoffs. But it did signal to me that stability and flying under the radar was a little bit more ease of travel for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they knew people wouldn't have an outright outrageous response, but they knew people wouldn't be super inspired. And to your point, like that is a part of maybe the revolving cycle that I've talked about with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we find ourselves here again. The same questions remain. Who will be the quarterback? Will you be good enough if you get into the playoffs, because they usually have, to go further? And I think it's more questions than answers. I think a young coach would have been inspiring, but I think this just keeps everybody at bay.
Yeah, so Mike McCarthy, good coach. The Steelers are an organization that deserve the benefit of the doubt. Are they running from their reality? That's kind of what my viewpoint on is like, are you running from what you know is the reality that, and I understand where RC's coming from, his perspective, no one better, but the unwillingness to rebuild or retool. You have to. You don't. This isn't a tear down, but you have to. And so, if Mike McCarthy's going to go get a young quarterback, okay, I can get on board with that. He's proven to be a good coach. But if this is just going to be Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers back together, then I think the Steelers are dangerously flirting with becoming something that they have, in my lifetime, never been. Comfortable with mediocrity.
Yeah, and like we talked about it a little bit earlier, Dan. I don't believe they even see Mike McCarthy as a coach that will have them in mediocrity. They believe he's the right person to lead them to a Super Bowl right now. But from the outside looking in, I look at this roster. This roster isn't ready to do that. Mike McCarthy isn't going to be able to do that with Mason Rudolph or Will Howard. And in that fact, also Aaron Rodgers. And so to me, it's will Mike McCarthy be willing to rebuild, to restart, to retool?
Sure.
Because in my opinion, that's the only way for the standard to once again be winning Super Bowls.
Man, it just does keep coming back to that quarterback spot. And Mike McCarthy's 62 years old. You don't want to sit here and say that's too old, but it does factor in when you look at the totality of years we could be talking about here that he would be with this organization. We've got much more coming your way on NFL Live. Sean Payton.
In their position, and it's amazing. And I want other people to feel that feeling.
He stands in, quarterback draw, across the 5, across the goal line right, touchdown, Patriots!
Nobody really believed in us. So one more game, we go out there, take care of business, and shit, we'll get some credit then.
2 minutes left, we need 1 first down here.
When in doubt, count on him.
Chase tries to get outside, he does! He's got the first down! We're back. The celebration a mile high. They are headed to Santa Clara.
Going to the Super Bowl, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty cool.
Congratulations to the Patriots. On the other side of things, Jarrett Stidham led the Broncos on a 59-yard touchdown drive on just their second possession of the game to take a 7-0 lead in the AFC Championship. But then Denver went scoreless on their final 10 drives in the game, hampered by the wind and snow, certainly. That's the most consecutive scoreless drives a Sean Payton coached team has ever gone for in a game. Denver had just one play of 15 or more yards. Stidham and Payton emotional after the game.
You know, you hurt for every one of those players in that locker room. You don't know how a game's going to unfold and then how it began to unfold. I liked early on the way I felt like most of the first half we played on their side of the field. We didn't score enough points offensively or capitalize on that field position. The turnovers hurt us, and you know, we had our opportunities, but starts with the head coach.
Moments like this is why you play the game. This is why you grow up playing the game of football, and you know, all the long hours that you put into it. You know, off season, in season, all those things. I mean, this is why we do what we do. So, you know, I was obviously super excited for the opportunity today, and you know, just hate that we fell short.
I mean, listen, Jarrett Stidham stepped up in a huge way, right? It wasn't ideal with Bo Nix going down. But, Mina, what specifically went wrong for the Broncos yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to draw huge conclusions, frankly, on a game where the backup quarterback had to play in like a snowstorm on top of that. So I'm not looking, and it's certainly hard to fault the Broncos defense, quite frankly, for anything. So I'm not coming away from this game, if I'm a Broncos fan, thinking we need to do something dramatic this offseason. But I would say, as far as what went wrong, the biggest difference was Bo Nix's ability to protect the football all season long. Even through some ups and downs, he took very few sacks. He did not turn it over. Jarrett Stidham made a crucial mistake close to their old goal line, turning the football over. That proved to be the difference. And then I would say on top of that, you know, this was not a great run game all season long, despite having a very good run-blocking offensive line. And I think you saw that show up in this game. Obviously, the Patriots' run defense played a role in that, but I do think you had Jarrett throwing more than you would have liked because of the inability to run the football. And that is something that preceded him and was an issue throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, Mina, this was a tough matchup for the Denver Broncos offense before Bo Nix was unavailable, and after it was even tougher. Obviously, Bo Nix gives you some excitement and ability to extend plays with his legs. That was gone without Bo Nix present. But for me, it was Jarrett Stidham's reaction under pressure, specifically the backwards pass or the lateral that ended up being a touchdown for the New England Patriots. And watching this game, even Drake May, who wasn't at all impressive in this game, he protected the football, something he didn't do in the first 2 playoff games. And that's what I would have been preaching to Jarrett Stidham. If you just protect the ball with the level our defense is playing, you give us an opportunity to win. Obviously, there was the fumble near the goal line and then the late interception on the lollipop to Christian Gonzalez were 2 plays that just couldn't happen. But the one thing that showed up is when you don't play football for 2 years in a meaningful football game, pressure is something that's difficult to get used to, and it affected Stidham in his first start in over 2 years.
Yeah, small margins for error don't equate to self-inflicted wounds being good. We can go to the 4th and 1 when Sean Payton decides to go for it instead of kicking the field goal. that's potentially 3 points. There's 2 missed field goals in there by Will Lutz, who's been clutch and consistent for the great majority of his career. That's another 6 points potential. And then obviously the 2 giveaways, one leading to the only New England touchdown. So I agree with Mina. Like, there's not a ton to take away from Denver's perspective other than they essentially, from an offensive thought, had to play perfect, flawless football to win this game and make New England beat them. It was the opposite.
Yeah.
New England just said, you're going to lose the game. We don't have to necessarily beat you. They had 56 yards, 56, the Broncos offense, in their final 8 drives. It was clear. Mike Daboll said, they can't do anything against us. We don't give the ball away. We'll win the game.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, we sort of did this game a disservice by not speaking about just how good the New England Patriots had been on defense and how a lot of what they did truly would affect the Denver Broncos and their deficiencies, on top of them having a backup quarterback playing in this game. There weren't a lot of one-on-one football winners in the wide receiver room for the Denver Broncos, so it didn't even really give Jarrett Stidham that easy outlet with the football in the pass game, and then the inability to run facing a defense that is as sound against the run as the New England Patriots. You knew points were going to be at a premium.
Yeah, you guys, the fewest combined yards, 387 in a conference championship since 1985. That's just how rare what we saw yesterday was. Let's get to some sad news now, as Jeffrey Mason, a 24-time Emmy Award-winning production executive, has passed away. Mason had a long history with ABC and ESPN, covering Super Bowls, World Series, World Cups, and Olympics across his Hall of Fame career. Disney CEO Bob Iger called Mason, quote, a friend and a colleague who had a storied career, touching just about every corner of the television industry. He had a passion for the business, which was evidenced in his prodigious work ethic and constant love and enthusiasm he exhibited on everything he worked on. He will most certainly be missed. Mason is survived by his wife, Chris, and his son, Jeff Jr. Our thoughts are with the family. More NFL Live after this.